Faerie Protective Services. Book 1, Chapter 1, by Robert McKinney. Read by the author. My dad liked to tell people that I was in the Army. What he didn't know was that while I'd spent 6 years in uniform for Uncle Sam, I'd also spent a few before that in the service of the Earl King, Iron Lord of Goblins, Half-Bloods, and Orcs. I'd done a pretty good job of leaving both wars behind me once my service was done, until a green-haired disaster showed up in my front door. I was in my office, of course, the same one where I'd spent the last 2 hours staring at a pile of debt before the stranger barged in without so much as a knock. "How much do you charge to protect people from the Fae?" asked the woman once she came to a stop on the other side of my desk. Her arrival had been a surprise in itself, as I don't get many walk-ins. Her words were even more of a shock, as talk of the Fae was something I'd rarely encountered since leaving the Earl King's service. A small part of me was curious and wanted to see where this was going. My smarter bits, however, got the final say. "I don't," I replied as I tilted my head to get a better view of the woman over the rim of my glasses. She was a pretty, small-boned Asian woman with a head full of curls dyed forest green. Her clothes lacked the telltale lumps that marked a hidden pistol or knife, and not one thing about her jumped out as a threat to me. Not one thing, save for the fact that she was talking about Faerie. The woman hooked a finger towards the window of my office. I didn't need to follow the gesture to know I'd find a sign listing Aiden Flint's Protective Services as one of the strip mall's often short-lived businesses. "If you don't mind me saying, that attitude is not very protective or businesslike of you, Mr. Flint," she said. "And I think that hearing me out will be more than worth your time." I didn't do anything more than frown at that. Actually, now that I thought about it, I hadn't seen her approach through my window, which was odd. The strip mall where I rented out space for my business had never been busy, and the sight of someone walking across the parking lot instead of driving up in a car should have been enough to catch my attention immediately. That alone should have been enough to set me on edge. Talk of the Fae would require more than just an edge on my part. It called for caution and a possible need for sudden violence. Making sure to keep my motions casual, I slipped my hands away from the surface of my desk. I dipped one towards my waistband, where the cool comfort of a short-barreled Glock 19 greeted me from its holster. My other hand went towards the thick-tipped Sharpie in my off-the-rack suit pockets. The gun might come in handy if the woman pulled out a weapon that I hadn't noticed. The marker had a small chance of saving my ass if this woman was able to sling something more exotic than a bullet. "The Fae just aren't worth the trouble, and I'm pretty sure that includes you," I said. "I'd appreciate it if you leave now." "I'm no more Fae than you are, Mr. Flint," said the woman as she took a graceful step closer to my desk. The forest-haired woman was dangerously good-looking, which was pretty dangerous for a guy like me. My dad always said that the Flint bloodline had a type: beautiful women with a knack for provoking bad decisions. He hadn't been wrong in my case, and I'd seen enough cruelty wrapped in pretty packages while in Faerie to keep my guard up and my trigger finger ready for as long as this woman was close. Full-blooded Fae or not, I don't think we'll be doing any business today. I shook my head. Like I said, dealing with them just isn't worth the headache. My research says that an armored car like the one you have parked outside and a competent bodyguard such as yourself is worth at least $5,000 for a day's trouble," said the forest-haired woman, interrupting again. "That's a fair price for standard work," I said. "But I doubt your research includes the true cost of dealing with the Fae." "It didn't. That's where your Earl King comes in," said the forest-haired woman. 5 half-bloods, at minimum, are needed to face off against a lone Fae warrior without unacceptable casualties. That's what his army, your army, says at least. I snorted. "I'm the only one here, so I don't see how that helps you." "It doesn't," she said. "But I'd say it's a fair start at pricing. if it usually takes 5 half-bloods to stand against Fae, then that means I should pay you at least 5 times the going rate for a decent bodyguard. I did some math in my head, reran the numbers, then froze. Are you really trying to give me $25,000 per each day's worth of work? I asked. I only plan on needing your services for one, she replied. I'm in a hurry though, so I'll throw in double if you can take me safely to where I need to be by the end of the night. Well, shit, I thought. $50,000. Less than a quarter of what she was offering would be enough to put my business on firm standing, for a while at least. $50,000 was a lot, and I could definitely use the money. But was it worth the risk of dealing with the Fae? It was a good question. The land of Faerie was a far cry from sunshine and rainbows. Many of the things that lived there, though alluring, had enough power to shatter a building down to its foundations. And even more were twisted enough to consider such a thing as nothing but fun. The idea of facing things like that placed the word no on the tip of my tongue. Before it could come, though, I looked back down at the pile of printed out bills, loan payments, and bank slips on my desk. $50,000. I rolled the number around in my head. It wouldn't be enough to wipe out all of my debt, but it would cover my payments for more than a year. There were risks in this, I was sure, but at this price point, it just may be worth it. Maybe, but not definitely. To be sure, there was a not quite man I had to see first. I'm tentatively willing to take this job, I said, but there are some details to clear up first before we officially start. What kind of details are we talking about? Asked the woman. The time-sensitive kind. We'll discuss them on the road, I said as I rose from my desk and retrieved my keys from a wall hook. Let's go. This has been Faerie Protective Services, Book 1, Chapter 1, by Robert McKinney. Read by me, McKinney, the author. Hope you had a good time. And if you like what you heard, be sure to check out more on Amazon.